Well, Howie Roseman pushed the first two dominoes down in what could be an avalanche of activity by Philadelphia at the trade deadline. Oh, and look, the corner he apparently really loves just demanded a trade. We've also got an update on Jalen Carter's back injury and his chances of playing on Sunday versus the Cowboys. And it's Halloween, so dressing up as the scariest thing for any NFL quarterback, the breadman, Jalen Carter. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. All right, happy trade deadline day, or I guess those of you with small kids, happy Halloween. Either way, it appears Howie Roseman is gearing up to give those of us who do celebrate National Trade Deadline Day maybe a trade later on this afternoon by the 4 p.m. deadline. So I guess those of you who do celebrate Halloween instead of Trade Deadline Day, here's a video of Lane Johnson and his fiance going with the Kiss Halloween outfit this past weekend. Thumbs up for that. Curious who you guys are going as tonight. Now, Philadelphia technically did make a big trade while you were sleeping, just not the Philadelphia Eagles. Still, thumbs up for Harden finally being gone. Not to be outdone, GM Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles did make a trade yesterday, and some are saying it's going to be the first domino to fall and what could be a very exciting deadline day for Philadelphia. The Eagles traded away defensive tackle Kentavius Street, who played a lot on Sunday versus the Commanders. They ship him to Atlanta right after Grady Jarrett, their star pass rusher, goes down with an ACL injury. Howie gave Atlanta Street and a 2025 7th-round pick to Atlanta for their 2024 6th-round pick. Now, it's not a blockbuster trade. You do technically improve your draft stock if Street plays enough games this season, but it does free up a roster spot, so technically now they do have a space available if they wanted to make a trade by the 4 p.m. deadline. Although, as Twitter pointed out, they kind of ruined all the fun by saying that the move could either be for somebody or it's simply to open up a roster spot for either Cam Jurgens, who could come off of IR this week, or Julio Jones, who caught that touchdown pass on Sunday against the Commanders and only has one practice squad elevation left before they must sign him or let him go. Although if you're like me and hoping for a trade, then Field Yates' tweet here you see on your screen is going to get you a little bit more excited because it turns out Howie Roseman restructured Kevin Byard's contract just a couple of days ago, which created $711,000 in 2023 cap space, giving Philadelphia a little bit of extra financial flexibility, and he does still technically remain under contract through 2024. So maybe a big trade is back on. Either way, be sure to go ahead and subscribe because 4 p.m. is the trade deadline, and I will jump on for a live show the second something happens. Josh Davis and I are on call, sub to be the first to know when Philadelphia makes a move. Now, I will say this, I have talked to some people, all off the record though, so I can't name any names, but Howie's calling people. Just know that he is at least calling, and my guess is he's really trying to get a deal done. The one thing that is for sure is that the Street trade confirmed to me that Jalen Carter's injury is not as bad as we originally thought. When that back injury popped up at the end of the game on Sunday, I kind of panicked and said, oh boy, please don't be out for the Cowboy game or anytime longer. But Nick Sirianni, he spoke on the Carter injury yesterday, and he seems kind of confident.
Feels better today, I'll say that, and again, we want to get him out in the field to see where he is, but he feels better today. Again, that's a tribute to him getting in here and getting treatment, and also our trainers.
Now, I've been told by very reliable sources that if this video gets 1,000 likes, it's a guarantee Carter will play on Sunday versus the Cowboys, so I guess his health and status is really up to you. Now, one injury we will continue to watch is Jalen Hurts' knee situation as the Eagles limp towards a bye week, desperately in need of a couple of days off in order to get healthy. Although, according to Mike Selsky, the Eagles star quarterback Jalen Hurts had an hour's worth of treatment done on his injured knee after the team's win against the Commanders. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to injuries, but an hour's worth of treatment directly after a game, I'm sure a lot of players get this, but it further confirms to me that Jalen is playing hurt. As we told you on yesterday's show, it's not a surprise, but that bye week, just get through Dallas healthy, get that win, and then rest up and recover as much as possible for the bye week before the big gauntlet of games, starting with Kansas City. Now, when it comes to the trade deadline, remember, last season there were over a dozen trades and over 20 draft picks traded before the 4 p.m. trade deadline, and so expect a lot of craziness and chaos today. Now, I won't pretend to be an expert who knows exactly what Howie Roseman is thinking about or looking at, but I will listen to NFL insider Matt Lombardo, who said just the other day, Howie Roseman is very much interested in signing a pass rusher. At first glance, pass rusher is a little odd, right? We have Hassan Reddick. Don't we have Josh Sweat? What about BG? Oh, and your favorite, Derek Barnett. Kidding. But I'll be honest, adding another quarterback sacker might actually make a ton of sense. Think about it. Brandon Graham is on the tail end of his career, possibly the final year he's in Philadelphia. If you can go add another pass rusher, we know how he likes defensive line, it might make sense to do it now. Now, the two big names that are apparently very much open for trade right now are the Commanders' Montez Sweat and Chase Young. And although both of those would be fantastic additions for Philadelphia, the fact that the Commanders are inside Philadelphia's division means it's probably pretty unlikely that they'd actually answer a 215 Howie Roseman phone call. Although I'll be honest, I'd take Chase Young for a third-round draft pick in a heartbeat. I think he's one of the best young pass rushers in the league. He's now healthy, and on this team, alongside Reddick, alongside Sweat, if you added Chase Young, the Eagle pass rush would be they would be the best defensive line in the National Football League. Let me know what you guys think on either Chase Young or Montez Sweat. Another name to keep an eye on is the Patriots pass rusher James Uche, who, if you're not a Patriot fan, you might not exactly know who that is. He's on the final year of his rookie contract, had 11 and a half sacks last season, only 2 so far this year, but the outside linebacker would be a perfect complement to Hassan Reddick on the other side. He also is very cheap, about $1.5 million left on his contract. You could ask the Patriots to eat some of that as well, and either re-sign him if he balls out in the offseason, or let him walk in free agency like the Eagles have shown they're capable of doing with C.J. Gardner-Johnson last season. Now, I think the big fish that Howie Roseman is desperately trying to fry is the Bears cornerback Jaylon Johnson, who technically last night officially requested a trade from Chicago and now has until 4 p.m. to get a deal done. Now, ML Football has a source who's told him that Howie Roseman is a huge fan of Johnson, and so naturally with Philadelphia kind of being a little weak right now at cornerback, depending on your feelings on Darius Slay and James Bradbury, now have a potential big giant trade to go out and make today. In terms of price, Chicago got a second-round draft pick for Roquan Smith last year, and Ian Rappaport expects the trade for Johnson to cost basically the same. If you're not familiar with Johnson because you don't watch the terrible Bears team, he's one of the best young cornerbacks in the league. He's only 24 years old, and many think he's kind of the next elite guy in the NFL. And while I'm not like the rest of Twitter who absolutely can't stand Darius Slay or James Bradbury, I do think that Slay is getting up there in age, and Bradbury is no longer an all-pro, and you kind of need to have some contingency plans after both of them leave. Philly could go get Johnson now, extend him in the offseason with the free cap space they're going to have available, and then you have Eli Ricks and Jaylon Johnson not only playing a lot, because you'll find ways to get them on the field this season, but they can be future replacements to where you seamlessly keep the secondary as good and as young as possible. Honestly, who would say no to that? One big name to keep an eye on is the wide receiver Davante Adams, who very clearly last night absolutely cannot stand being a Las Vegas Raider, and honestly, with passes like this, I cannot blame him. Although I'll snap you out of that dream real quick, I'm not saying they're going to trade for Davante Adams, nor would I want them to, but Brandon Perner of That Good Sports, he thinks they should, saying the only two teams that really don't need Davante Adams are the Dolphins and Eagles, and the only two teams with the balls to trade for Adams are also the Dolphins and Eagles. Now, Perner is an NFL insider. He just has one of the best sports shows on all of YouTube. But Davante Adams in Philadelphia, as sexy and fun as that sounds, that takes targets away from Mega John, or as I like to go ahead and call him, A.J. Brown. And honestly, I kind of want A.J. Brown to get as many targets as possible. What happens to Devontae Smith if you add another wide receiver? You already got Julio Jones, who caught a touchdown, seemingly has a nice red zone package. I am completely 100% fine with wide receiver. Let me know what you guys think down below. Now keep in mind, all trade deadline rumors and news that we talk about isn't fact because trades haven't actually happened yet or could be happening as soon as you watch this video. One thing that is for sure is that I will be the first person live. Myself and Josh Davis, we can be the fastest people up to give you every little detail of the next Eagles trade at any point today. So if you hit the notification bell, your little phone will pop up and say, hey, Thomas and Josh are live because the Eagles traded for 5 straight superstar players, and we'll be breaking it down before everybody else. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and be ready for hopefully a deadline move. Let me know who you guys want. If you could have one perfect trade today, let me know who that is. I'm monitoring it. You're monitoring it. Let's have a great, happy trade deadline day. Be safe out there for Halloween as well. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.